I'm going to try my best to follow up with everything you just talked about quite a bit. We're just going to get a little glimpse of everything, and there's a lot, right? And it's all around DNS. But before that, I do want to explain kind of the deployment options. There's about 5 different options we have. Each one is unique to every single customer, and it doesn't matter how you want to do it, but we can do any one of the 5 options. And the first one is always an endpoint. Endpoint we like a lot because we get all the user attribution data really easily with an endpoint. And customers like it too because they have UDM devices to deploy it across really quickly, deploy on a Mac, Windows, iPhones, Androids, you name it, right? Makes it really easy for them. However, not every customer likes endpoints because they always say, hey, I don't want another endpoint on my devices. So we have 4 other options for those kind of customers. And the first one's going to be NIOS X server, physical or virtual, that we can play as an edge device anywhere in their network. So that could be an AWS, GCP, Azure. It could be hardware, right? You can deploy it on-prem as a KVM, OVA file onto a VMware. Doesn't matter. And they're lightweight edge devices that you can deploy hundreds of them. And we have config profiles you can assign to multiple of them. And then we also have NIOS, which is our tried and tested and true product that's been around for a very long time. And we can deploy DFPs on that as well to send it directly to our cloud. Or for some of our customers, they can't use our SaaS product. You can actually download these feeds and run a lot of this stuff on-prem itself. So rather than having us manage everything, you can actually manage yourself on-prem. And then the 4th option, which is newer-ish, it's been around for quite some time at this point, is NIOS X as a service. So if you're using things like an SD-WAN vendor or SASE products, and you want to connect directly in, you can actually create IPsec tunnels directly to us. We can run as the DHP and DNS service directly to those SD-WAN, SASE products. Or if you're using a cloud vendor, we can connect directly to the cloud service. So it would be cloud to cloud. We actually host these on our side, and you just create the IPsec tunnel to us. And then the last option is an external resolver, which is unique to threat defense. It's like an open resolver, except for you have to tell us what your public IP addresses are, and then we start ingesting any traffic coming from those public IP addresses. Really easy to deploy. Only downside is we don't get all the user attribution data directly from those queries. However, we have things around the universal asset insights. And so as we ingest a lot of this information from our NIOS, from UDDI, from other third-party vendors as well, Google Cloud, Azure, AWS, we actually take that information, and we'll see it in the demo. We take that information, and in each packet, we tell you what device made that query. Give you the MAC address and everything else around it, giving you the context around everything that you're seeing. We'll see that. I just want to make sure that we have the understanding of the 5 different deployment options. Everything is mix and match. You can use multiple deployment options. You can deploy stuff on-prem in the cloud at the same time. You can have endpoints, people leaving the network, coming back on. It's all up to the customer use case. We have everything.
We got a question for you.
Yeah.
So if a adversary gets in, it's automated malware, they do a DNS lookup, you guys are cutting them off at the knees, right? If an adversary gets in and it is a person and they do a DNS lookup, you guys are cutting them off at the knees. If an adversary gets in and it does a DNS lookup and it's a person and it's cut off at the knees, I'm seeing my adversaries very quickly change to IP addresses. So do you have any sort of lead or feed from your threat intelligence that I could consume either at my XDR or at my firewall or somewhere else?
We actually do. And so I'll show that as well. Unique to Infoblox is we share all of our feeds. We don't just share the DNS, we share IP, URLs, hashes, everything we have, we share with you. So we don't hide it. There's nothing behind the scene. You want to say something else?
Yeah. I just wanted to say we do have, IP threat feeds.
Yep.
First of all, we don't see a lot of attacks using IPs. The reason is just like, all the good companies are trying to use domains to scale things. IPs will be very hard. Attackers is the same way, right? So we don't see a lot of attackers using IPs. We see them using DNS. But yeah.
We've had a number of events over the past 18 months.
Okay.
Where, because we're starting to harden our DNS,
oh, okay.
the adversary starts at DNS, sees the DNS isn't working, switches it up.
I see. Okay.
So completely agree with you. The starting point is always DNS.
I see.
But if it's a human there and they know these guys seem to have it, some security. All right. So I'm glad to know you have the export too. That's awesome.
So we have the feeds, but because that connection will not come to the DNS server. We can't block it. So what customers do is put those feeds on the firewall.
else,
And
yeah.
because we are just not in the path of traffic at that point if they switch to IP.
And then if they're off network, I've got other problems.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Love that though.
I'm going to walk you guys actually through the live demo now. So I'm going to sit down and go through this. It is live. So anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So do please forgive me. We're going to go through as much as we can. Again, Mikesh talked about a lot of things, and we're going to get through as much as possible. I'm going to hide this guy as well, so it's off my screen. Cool. All right. So this is the portal that you see when you first log in to Threat Defense. We have the KPIs for the entire DNS infrastructure on the security side right away. And we can see right away some pretty obvious things we think of when DNS protection. We have different types of categories: malware, DGA, malicious, notional data exfiltration, stuff that we just block right away for you guys. We don't have anything that's allowed to right now in this demo environment, but if you did see things going through, we would alert you right away for it. And it's important for your team to know, hey, what's going through. But what's also cool about this is one of our key competitors is a good enough solution. And what we want to provide to you right away is what we call predictive intelligence. And what's cool about this is Mikesh talked about the suspicious feeds. We have, I'll show you the feed. There's like 17, 18 million records in there. Those eventually get turned into categories that we've watched, right? So right away, we know it's malicious because there's your cartels putting out all these feeds. We know they're malicious. We just don't know which category it fits in yet. And over time, we'll adjust to it and say, hey, this was within a DGA or an emerging domain or a generic, right? But this is to this specific customer account. Those suspicious domains eventually do get clicked on. And what eventually do they turn into, right? And of course, we have the threats by the level. This is typically what you think of when you're thinking about DNS, but the different types: suspicious, malicious, phishing, the different categories, high and low. Your team knows right away what's going on in your network, but also the first to detect. Again, a good enough solution is people are just putting feeds out there, but we're saying, hey, when you clicked on it, how much earlier did Infoblox know about it before you clicked on it? And we're showing our customers right away, hey, in this case, in this demo environment, 7 weeks before they clicked on that domain on average for suspicious type of events, we knew about it and we protected you on average. And that could be up or down depending on the customer account. And other ones like malware, it's 3 weeks. Malicious, it's 5 weeks. And then we have bandwidth savings. Another thing you don't think about with DNS is as we stop these domains, a packet for DNS is really lightweight. That HTTPS request, the video, the download, all that stuff adds up bandwidth in your traffic. And if we can save that on your firewalls and your routers, that's another money savings for your security team and your networking team. Cool. That's the threat side of it. And I didn't actually get into anything specific for the assets. So we're going to jump right over to the assets. And what's cool is with the Universal Asset Insights and this ingestion from NIOS, from UDDI, the DHCP logs, we're actually able to see all the users and where they're going. So not only do we know the DNS packet, we know who exactly made that query. We'll jump into some of these. In this case, we have at-risk assets. Assets are, we're making these large amount of requests that are malicious. And normal infrastructure, you'll have thousands of devices, and these are live assets. These aren't assets that are on the shelf somewhere. These are guys who are connecting to your network. In this case, we know this guy has 2 IP addresses because we discovered it. We have 2 MAC addresses with this device. We know the operating system, the serial number behind it, the management addresses that he's been on. And what's cool is we can also see all the security and policy violations he's made throughout his life cycle. If we were to look at any one of these, in this case, it's just suspicious, but we can see the first and last attempt when this occurred. In this case, there's 2 attempts, so we know one happened on 9/22 at 6:18, and the same one happened, so they probably double-clicked on this one. And then let's say we know that, hey, this was what infected this guy. Like, we went back, we researched it, we know who to knock on their door, we found them. We say, hey, where else has this guy been since that date? We have the whole history of every single IP address, where he's been in your network. So you can check every single one of those networks now and see what other devices that might have hopped onto, right? Maybe you downloaded something, it got out through your network because now it's in your network. Which networks do you need to go look into? We have all that context right with the DNS. Going back to the monitors tab, more stuff. Go to the assets. We also have assets by location. So if you have East Coast, West Coast, offices, some in Europe, you'll be able to see which ones are causing the most incidents. Something that's really valuable, countries that are at war right now, Ukraine and Russia. If you have offices near that location, maybe they're getting hit more. That would be something good to know about. At risk by threat level, again, things you think about, but you can, again, click into any one of these, and it will give you all the context, but also all the assets associated with it. You can deep dive into every single one, the MAC addresses, the IPs, the management, any kind of security violations and policy violations. So if you have custom lists that you created, you can check which ones they're violating, including category filters. So you can say, hey, I want to know who's going to social media sites or looking up stuff at work or you name it. Or for schools, right? Kids are going to sites they're not supposed to. You need to report on that. That's a requirement, right? You can start checking out what devices within your school are going where, including the user information, because we do collect the host name, right? This would be for my laptop. We have client 02 here. It's a demo. If it was my laptop, it would say K Zettel. And it would actually tell me, hey, K Zettel is going to these sites at this time. It actually knows who I am.
So can I enrich that data? You mentioned classrooms, right? So could I, if I had a CSV or whatnot of these hosts belong to these schools, or if I'm in government, I'm like, all right, I got 14 agencies and I want to report out by agency. Can I enrich this data and do that type of reporting?
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Great question. That's it on the monitoring, I think. Let me go back to assets, make sure I didn't skip over anything I wanted to touch on. Yes, I think we're good here. I want to jump in because Mukesh kind of talked about these cartels. I want to jump into those guys, kind of the secret sauce. Dave Mitchell will be talking a little bit more of the secret sauce. But I do want to show it in the portal here. We actually, again, a lot of this stuff is we're competing against good enough solutions. And we need to show you guys within the portal itself what's going on within your network. And if we jump right into the threat intel and our reporting, every customer will actually have the cartels that are in their network that they're clicking to and getting to right in here. And in this case, I know Mukesh said, hey, within about 60 days on average, we see a 55.6. This is a demo lab. It's to that specific account, right? So every customer will be up or lower. On average, it's 60 days to get that point. But these are their cartels. So you can see Vino Viper with 25,000 records. And what's cool is Infoblox tells you, hey, which of those 25,000 records that we know about did your account click on? In this case, we have 273 records for this demo account. And that could be useful if they're targeting your company and your organization. Now you know exactly which records your company and your employees are clicking on, customers in your network are clicking on. And it also tells you how far ahead of everyone within a virus total, by the way, is this conglomerate of a bunch of feeds. You can go out and purchase all of those. But we're showing you, hey, how much further ahead of all these guys are we? We look at this one 59 days ahead, 8 days ahead. And even if, by the way, I have found it once where virus total did beat us, right? And we still show that. We'll tell you if they beat us out. Very rarely does it happen. That's why I'm pretty confident clicking through here. But we show you, and we can see the average up here, right? 55.6 days for all these within this demo environment.
And
right?
it also looks pretty cool because you can also leverage it as almost like a, like with all this data that's being ingested, you can use it to take it back to the higher ups and like, hey, maybe we focus on security hardening in these particular areas if we're clicking on these links and securing those a little more too. So that looks pretty interesting.
Yep. And there are reports for that, by the way. We have reports.
Yeah, like you can generate those reports and provide them.
And if you're briefing something like this to clients that are less technical, knowing your enemy makes things a lot more realistic to someone who maybe doesn't understand the tech, but they're going to know, oh, well, I can see it. They put a name and a face on it.
Absolutely. Yeah, put a name and a face to the cartel itself. Who is attacking you? And some of these guys do have faces behind them. If you talk to Dave Mitchell after this, he can give you some very interesting stories. So there are people behind this. They make a lot of money. It's interesting. And of course, let's say, hey, we are attacked. We want to know more about this threat actor. We give you publications about exactly what they're doing, how they're handling it. Our threat intel team create these reports. Some of these are like hundreds of pages long. You get really good detail. Send that off to your CISO, whoever else needs to learn. Your SOC team can now start learning what they're doing in your infrastructure. Cool. So we talked about it. We kind of saw in the threat actors like 25,000 records, 30,000 records. There's a lot for each one of these cartels. What I want to jump to is actually our TIDE itself. And I mentioned it briefly. In fact, it was asked, do we have IP lists of bad domains? And we do. We have all that stuff, and we share it. We share it all out. It's not hidden. Once you have threat defense, you can actually download all these feeds, use them in your firewalls, use them where else you want. What I want to show right away is we have millions of records in here. I'm going to jump right into suspicious, and you can see I like to use this page because it shows us the exact number really quick. These update all the time, right? We refresh these. These aren't just stale records. We're always looking at them. There's a whole process behind it that we can get into more detail, but you can see 17 million records just in our suspicious list. If you try to pull that down, put it into your firewall, those guys at Penn are going to be really happy. You're going to be paying a lot of money, right? Anywhere else, people want you. Yeah, they want you to put these. There would be pennies compared to what you'd be paying for on Infoblox, right? So you don't want to just download everything, put it somewhere random. It's going to cost a lot. It's going to make me really happy as a sales guy if you were going to haul those feeds into my firewall. I'll tell you that. But that's the idea. We have these feeds. We open it up, put them wherever you want. We're not shy about it. We don't hide it. I don't know why we share it so openly, but we do, and it's good for our customers. And then the second thing after that is I want to show kind of what your SOC team is going to be looking at in the reports itself. So we actually go back to our reporting and our security. We actually store, and this is a huge thing for SOC teams, is there's millions of DNS requests. We store all that on our side. You don't actually have to store that inside your SIM. That can increase the price, but we store all that information for you, give you all the context for each and every single query, the device name, the IP, everything about these guys. But then your SOC team says, hey, I have 30 million or 20 million DNS events. How am I supposed to correlate that? No team is going to be able to handle that. So Infoblox has developed something called Insights, and this is where our AI, LLM, machine learning comes into place. And we take all of your events specific to your customer account, and we call them insights. And we say, hey, these grouping of DNS events from these devices are all related. And that could be because they're all querying about the same time. It could be because they're all querying the same grouping of domains. They're all coming from the same threat actor. A lot of different use cases. The size of your company determines whether or not an insight gets triggered. This is a demo lab. So we'll have less events. A larger customer with millions of records, it would take a little bit more to trigger an insight because it's just so much data going through. Here we have 5 total assets. So it tells us right now with these, 50 plus total indicators, these events, they're all related somehow, right? This is that AI in the back end. And we're saying, hey, and you can jump into it, look at every single one of these assets, exactly who they are, the MAC addresses, again, just what we were showing earlier. And then also get each and every single one of these indicators, whether or not you're blocking it, not blocking it, where it's in your policies, which locations. And something that we get a lot too is, hey, sure, Infoblox says it's malicious. How do I know for a fact? Like I want to research this. I want to make sure before I, enable it maybe, right? Because sometimes these come back not blocked. I want to make sure this is malicious. And we have things baked in. You saw it a few times. We had this little symbol. It's our research with dossier. We have inside the tool baked in everywhere. At any time, you can click on any of these indicators, and it will show you right away, hey, this is why it's malicious. This is why we say it. The whole history behind it with like 20 plus different tools all into one. And you can go in and deep dive into the specific events. I clicked one on random, by the way, right? But we can see the events behind it. It even gives you a little bit of information about exactly what's going on with this domain, when we detected it, all the PDNS information, history, the whois data, related domains. So if there's a threat actor and there's related domains to the incident or to the domain itself, we'll pop that off, including related IPs. So if you see the same related IPs together, that will pop up in here.
And I would imagine rhetorical, but in addition to being able to provide all the info, it has a quarantining feature, so you could just kind of hold it up there and just stop it before doing the research, and then you'll know, okay, it's a safe, or maybe kind of where to move it next.
Quarantine meaning
like so if you note a file or if you notice a data source and you're like, okay, what's the active threat level on this? Like you can kind of pretty much just stop it and
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so we have our own custom. So this is, yeah, the question is, hey, a certain level we can block based off a certain level.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
But even then, sometimes it's not trusted. But we do have that tool baked in. Go check it out. Confirm it for yourself. And
So
what's
there's a
cool?
baked-in sandbox.
Huh?
Is it like a baked-in sandbox?
It's a tool of tools. So it's
Okay.
combining all these other DNS tools into one single tool. You can just research it right inside our portal.
It's like a multi-purpose thing.
Yeah.
When you say 25 tools in one, what do you mean by that?
So for example, the raw whois data, the whois records information, the MITRE attack surface is that there is one. My history isn't showing up for me, unfortunately. I don't know why, but I would actually be able to show you a really cool domain with it, and it'll give you some more details. We have a timeline behind it. These are all other tools that we're pulling from, including our own threat intel team. Stuff that Dave Mitchell is going to talk about. They use these tools as well that are custom built. You go and research and figure out, hey, are these domains malicious?